Hello, everybody. Welcome to Unbiased America Live. This is our 50th episode. Last week, it was just me. This week, I actually bribed Matt Palumbo to come on the show. All it took was a six-pack and a silly string.
Some other stuff we're not supposed to talk about.
Things that we can't talk about. And by silly string, I mean string cheese. It's the same stuff, isn't it? I don't know what these kids are playing with these days. Anyway, Grant is not here. You may know Grant Phillips from We Are Capitalists. Apparently, he lost his job. He's been incarcerated for copious amounts of drug use and also brandishing a weapon in public, which we all saw coming from a mile away. Kevin Ryan's not here. He's apparently meeting with the Bilderberg Group. I don't know. Them and the Rothschilds work together. They run the world. I don't know. They control the currency. He lives in Kennebunkport, Maine. He's a one percenter. Everything the left hates, that's what Kevin embodies. And to be quite frankly, I'm starting to hate him too. But Matt Palumbo is a loyal panelist. Here he is.
I'm on every episode.
Yeah, he shows up whenever he wants to. If you want to see me stumble all over myself, you can watch last week's show. And to be honest, I haven't been paying much attention. I've been paying enough attention to current events, but what everybody wants to hear about is this freaking Libertarian Party convention. So Matt and I are probably going to make fun of them for probably about the first 15 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Matty, I think there was a debate point at the Libertarian convention on access to drugs, that should the state have any role in any drug use. And I think one of the topics though is, does the government have any role in protecting 5-year-olds from heroin? It seems that go ahead.
Peterson was asked that and said, of course, and then got booed.
Yes. And it's like the Libertarian Party, in order to be taken seriously, they have to have just common sense answers on this. Like, you could say, hey, I'm for the decriminalization of a lot of drugs. I certainly think we can legalize marijuana, but harder drugs, more addictive drugs like, heroin, things like that, you may want to say, hey, the state or local governments can play a role in keeping these things out of the hands of children, much like they do with alcohol and so on and so forth. I don't see why that would be a problem. Do you think the Libertarian Party will have any chance until they do something like that?
I'm all for, let's say, legalizing or decriminalizing even hard drugs, but it doesn't mean they should be completely unregulated. Like, I even think so, just out of personal freedom, people should be able to choose to do those things. But I don't know. I don't think children have the same rights that adults do. So of course we should regulate it. And no 5-year-old shouldn't buy heroin.
True. And I'm always challenging libertarians to point out where there's a right to do drugs. Where that right must be right next to the right to commit suicide, which is kind of similar things. But I mean, if there are externalities to certain drugs, certainly you can decriminalize some, criminalize others. But I know that from my own personal perspective, a lot of these people I do see doing drugs, and I've seen a lot of it because I'm in the bar business. I'd love to see behind bars, actually kind of where they belong. So this whole that they need, pretty much Grant is in the right place. Yeah, I mean, that everyone's saying that taking these people, thinking that a lot of these people are merely victims. That's another thing with Gary Johnson and this whole thing with incarceration rates. Oh, the incarceration rates are too high. They had something like this, a similar movement with the left in the 60s and the 70s and 80s. Crime spiked until obviously they started to incarcerate people again. But no one ever looks at the numbers. It's just all these appeals to emotion that, and I see like libertarians and Rand Paul trying to using this issue as a populist issue to try to grow whatever he thinks is going to grow the Republican base, which I think is silly, and that will never happen. What do you think about that? He came out with something this week on, we're incarcerating people too long, and what would he know about that?
I think it depends on the kind of incarceration. Like, obviously, if we said there's going to be a 5-year prison sentence for marijuana use, they would put a lot of people in prison and provide no benefit. So it depends on what you're locking people up for.
Right, but there isn't really anybody. I mean, all the people that are in for marijuana are distributing, and they're distributing other drugs. So it's not like people have this misconception that, I smoked a doober and they throw you in jail. I know I live in Long Beach, California. A lot of these cops keep walking if they see you with marijuana, or they give you a ticket. They don't want to do the paperwork either. But people are too busy out there to would badmouth cops all the time. But really, they don't care about per se marijuana. I mean, they're more out to get heroin and meth and a lot of crystal, a lot of these harder drugs. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these people like, perhaps black incarceration, maybe they're in jail longer. Well, they have probably longer rap sheets. It's going to be harder.
Go
ahead.
Yeah. Ben Shapiro was talking about that once. There was like a very famous study that, if you take let's say like a black offender for marijuana use versus a white offender, the black offender will get a harsher sentence. But there's more repeat offenders in the black community.
They have longer rap sheets. Absolutely. So, and it's this thing where that's, this is the idea, and Sowell has written many books on this. It's the idea that somehow that it's not the community's fault that, having children out of wedlock at the rate of, 75% or close to 75%. I mean, 3/4 of black kids are born out of wedlock. That's not at fault for the large incarceration rates among the black community. It has to be the drugs, and that the welfare state plays no role. The welfare state came first. The drug problem wasn't until after. It wasn't until you created a perpetual class and substituted the father of the family for the state. But nobody wants to talk about that. You see, it's more romantic to talk about the war on drugs. So, I mean, until people...
Yeah, Kevin has posted a few times on UA, like the stats of, like your likelihood of graduating high school, having a decent job versus, I think like children with fathers versus those without, and it's astronomical, the odds.
So the idea is that all the causes in these communities are to remain the same, and it's everyone else that has to change, you see? It's the broader society that needs to change, not the things that actually create the problems. Let's blame drugs. And look, I'm no fan of a lot of the drug laws. Why does marijuana have anything to do with the federal level? I could see that for interstate commerce. I could see that for coming across the borders. But why is Colorado or Washington in violation of federal law? I don't see that. I don't think that would be necessary. I see how the law works. But let's leave those laws and criminal laws absolutely to the states. That's the whole idea, was for them to have police power to begin with. But I mean, this Libertarian Party here, you got one fat guy running out naked on the stage. You got Gary Johnson, who won, I actually sent out a tweet this week that he's the establishment GOP figure that the Republicans couldn't nominate.
He freaking double. When he brags about balancing New Mexico's budget, it's like, yeah, you have a fucking balanced budget amendment, so you did your job, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, I actually had to do this by a matter of law. Yeah, so basically his legislature had to do it, and he's in a deep red state. So, yeah, really tough job you had there, Gary. Also, this whole idea, like, I'm for the separation of church and state. What? Like, okay, that would be the First Amendment. So you're for the Constitution. But it's also, we should force religious people to bake cakes for people that they feel, so you're against property rights, you're against the Constitution, and you're against religious liberty. And that's coming from the Libertarian Party. And look, I know the Libertarian Party is hostile to religion. Huh?
It's for the right to live, though.
Yeah, you have a right to live. I mean, that was okay. That was bad, but I think Austin Peterson was perhaps the best chance for the party. There was another guy who was a doctor there. I don't remember his name. I forgot his name, but he was somewhat decent. Who the hell is going to remember any of these guys' names? You run for this party. Look at McAfee. I mean, here's a guy that just said stuff that he read off a fortune cookie. You know what I mean? He had a ton of money, but I mean, what a joke that is.
Peterson was reading off bumper stickers, I think. So.
Yeah, Peterson needed I don't think Peterson had the, he was young. He didn't have the experience. He has a hard time, or he was always seemed very nervous and uptight up there. And he would repeat essentially slogans and mantras, which displayed that he didn't have enough knowledge of the issues, the intricate knowledge of the issues to really discuss.
I think he's even more depth. I think obviously I agree with him on most issues. It's just that there's not as much depth as I'd like to see.
Right. Like people,
not like I would.
Go ahead.
Say like putting thought into this because none of them have greater than a 1% chance of becoming president ever. But
what do you think what percentage of the vote you think the Libertarian Party gets? I mean, these polls are notorious for overshooting third-party candidates.
1.5% next, I think.
Okay, 1.5%. That's pretty.
I mean, as long as it's all like libertarians in blue states voting for Johnson, I don't care about the wasting their vote. So
didn't he get like 0.9%, which was a record or something for the LP in 2012?
Well, it was 0.9%, wasn't it, or 0.8%?
Yeah, 0.9%, and I think that was the record for the LP.
Okay. So maybe like 2% tops. Like, I think it's certainly going to be substantially more in proportion because everyone hates Trump and Hillary, but I don't think it's going to be enough to really affect the election anyway.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to know who's in the Libertarian Party ticket anyway, and they've already alienated most conservatives. I think that they did a pretty good job of that, and I don't think anybody's going to run towards the Libertarian Party, especially since they have the whole religious liberty issue conundrum, and then you have that guy who's on the ticket who's pretty much, I mean, who's been labeled as a gun grabber. I don't really know this well that much. I don't know his policy on guns, but I hear a lot of people saying that. But I haven't been able to verify it. What do you know about that?
I just know the top three: Johnson, Peterson, McAfee.
Well, Weld is, I guess, on Johnson's ticket, who's a former governor too.
I don't know anything about the guy.
Yeah, so I don't know. I saw something that he was anti-Second Amendment, but who knows with these guys? I don't know. Gary Johnson's he seems to be could be like he's just a Democrat in one sense and then an establishment Republican in another. He just kind of wishy-washy. He doesn't seem to understand markets. He doesn't understand the Constitution. He's just another dope that we got up there. I don't know.
I sided with poll. He's like 73% in common with Bernie Sanders. He sides more with Bernie than any other candidate.
Who, Gary Johnson? Yeah, no, that's not shocking.
I mean, like, I get it on some social issues, but like, what percentage of that is weed and anal? A very small amount.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I hate. This is another thing, and I post about this a lot on these so-called social issues, what are moral issues. Everything's a moral issue. Capitalism's a moral issue. It's like, hey, I'll give you these things because I don't really know why capitalism's better than anything else. It's like they're all moral issues. Capitalism's a more moral system. It has to do with property rights, the right to life, and the right to liberty. Abortion plays right into that. So the rule of law plays into that. So they're all moral issues. So I don't want a candidate that goes up there and says, I think we're a little tough on social issues. This is why I can't get behind a Libertarian Party that seems to have abandoned its intellectual roots, its whole philosophy, and moved towards this Rothbardian kind of, don't starve your kids because force. It's like, are you kidding me? I mean, that really.
It's starve your kids because force.
Exactly. and the whole concept of Lockean self-ownership has been perverted beyond recognition. Yes, you have ownership over yourself to a degree, but that doesn't mean you can do anything you want with yourself, much like you can't do anything you want with your property. You can't all of a sudden just.
That's why I disagree with libertarians on the whole like seatbelt law thing. I saw something arguing that you shouldn't have to wear a seatbelt because force or some shit. But I mean, if you go flying through your windshield, I'm probably going to be paying for the cops to come get you in the ambulance, then medical care. So
the costs are transferred, and then if somebody's using those public resources, then they can't be used somewhere else, right?
We should probably transition to a more pro-libertarian thing before all our viewers leave.
I love going after them. You got to make them think, Maddie. That's the thing. It's to make them think, and not everything's just some sort of a libertarian philosophical answer. I mean, I think consistency and understanding what undergirds classical liberalism is important. And I don't think no one talks about it. A lot of these guys just say things to get people to follow them. Christopher Cantwell, a lot of these guys are just putting crap out there to get some sort of they're cornering a market. My market's on actual truth and arguments. I can't just say anything, just become totally unhinged like anyone else and say whatever I want and act like a doofus when I call into Cantwell's show or act like an idiot anywhere I go. So, you start to get sick of it when you see it everywhere else.
Cantwell show?
Huh?
Have you called
I'll never call into the Cantwell show.
What would you call him on UA episode?
There would be no benefit ever to speaking to Christopher Cantwell. I don't think there would be any good that could come out of that. What would we talk? It's like talking to a leftist that supports Donald Trump.
How about if it's ever meeting you again? Prank call him during our UA show. Could be a segment. Then I'll be a loser of the week.
We could do a prank call show we could be like the Jerky Boys. I could be Sal Rosenberg. You could pick whoever you want to be. I mean, so now we got the Hillary debacle and her with her emails as if this is some sort of a new thing. Yes, the woman knew what she was doing. Yes, she went around the State Department. Matt, is anything going to happen?
No. I mean, my evidence for that is it's more speculative. I think, Obama's rallying behind Hillary. Most of the Democratic establishment is in the form of current politicians and the superdelegates. So, I mean, just like in business, insiders know a little more than the rest of us. So I think if there was a likely indictment, it would be setting up Biden right now.
Right. And now that's my next question. Don't you think they worked something out before Biden said he wasn't going to enter the race, that they know what Hillary did? Yeah. And that Barack Obama was going to say, you're not going to get indicted, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I did an article today for Alan West, and something like 50% of voters did say it's an issue. They think it's an issue. So when Bernie said, people are tired of hearing about your damn emails, I think he missed the chance.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely an issue. It will remain an issue. And the thing that she made a mistake is not coming out right away and explaining it, and then it just trickled out into the news for however many months, however long this campaign is gonna. She should have came out and said, yes, I did this, I did that, I should not have done that. You know what I mean?
It's the least bad thing she's done, to be honest.
It is. I mean, technically, she broke federal law. And she was going around the people that she's supposed to be representing with information and putting classified information at risk. Yeah, I see what you're saying. She's done so many bad things, but that's pretty bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there was I think 2,000 emails with classified information, and I mean,
something.
Her defense is that it wasn't classified until after the fact.
Well, that's why there's a law. That's why there's a law that says you can't do that.
State Department, you know what the criteria is for classified information. No, by reading it. So,
but the law was in place. The thing is, people think that laws just come out of nowhere. The law was in place because sometimes you get an email, it's not classified at the time, but you need to have it on a protected server. So it may be in the future become classified information that they don't know that is sensitive yet will become sensitive later. It doesn't take a freaking genius to figure that out. Now let's get to what's on everyone's mind here, and that's this freaking gorilla. And like I said, I did a post about this. 10 years ago, that would have been a local news story. Nobody would have been talking about it. It would have been no big deal. But we've got into this identity politics. We've gone so far to the postmodernist left that we have moral relativism is just, it's taking over the society to the point where now humans are on par with gorillas. That we have what's speciesism.
Last night, I shed a tear for the gorilla and for Cecil the lion.
I mean, look, do people? That's a horrible thing. I don't want to see that freaking gorilla get shot. I think that's terrible. But I don't want to see a baby be mauled to death by a gorilla. It's funny how they say, "Oh, well, it was just holding their hand." No, it wasn't. The thing was dragging around. It's going to start slamming it. They did the right thing. What do you?
For all we know, he could have grabbed that kid and then just dangled him from the Empire State Building. We don't know.
He could have escaped, grew. Another 200, probably about 200,000 pounds, and then climbed the Empire State Building while dangling the young child. But I mean, it's a horrible thing. But I don't understand what the backlash is. I'm not understanding why why people are shocked they would have shot the gorilla. Oh, you tranquilize it. It's funny how people have no experience in this department, none whatsoever.
Or know how tranquilizer works.
Yeah, with animals in a zoo, they're all experts now. They all know exactly what it's like to be in that situation. And you see, they would have made the right call, Matt. They're compassionate and they know what to do in that and that
you see there were people trying to make it a race issue. They were like, it was a white kid and they shot it. It was a black kid. I bet they would have only tased the gorilla.
The real question,
it was a black.
The real question, Matt,
the kid was
why
black.
does it matter if the kid's black? I don't understand. Yeah. Why was that even brought up? Like, let's talk about this is how stupid it is. Let's talk about the kid's skin pigmentation now. That matters. Tell me how that matters. I'm lost.
Makes sense anymore, but
I don't know why we ever tried to begin with, to be honest. But it was. We ended up talking about skin pigmentation, speciesism. Meanwhile, over Memorial Day weekend in Chicago, 69 people were shot. Just another holiday weekend. You know what I mean? But only 6 are dead.
Yeah. So. The day before Memorial Day weekend, Emmanuel had a put down the guns initiative where they're trying to. So I guess the criminals didn't get the memo.
Oh, they must have missed that, right? They also must have missed that having guns without having permits is illegal. So I don't know how this could have happened.
Right.
Let's see if we got any viewer questions here. But just as I had thought, we don't. That's shocking. Yeah, I know. This Facebook, it really does throttle conservative posts. Huh?
Anyone's actually watching this.
Did you get your haircut? Did you get your haircut and did you tip your hairstylist? That's from Bourne. Nobody cares what Bourne says, so we're moving along. Center right libertarian. If Trump fell into the right, if Trump fell into the gorilla pen, then which one do you shoot? That's actually a pretty good question. I don't know if I would be able to tell the difference between the two. So good question there, center right libertarian. We have a Joshua Gold. Let's see. He said it's inappropriate to refer to Hillary as a Gorilla, I get it. Hardy, hardy, har. That's about all we got for questions. Let me look at the little news stream here and see what else we got going on. Oh, that's right, Maddie. This is what I wanted to talk about. That whole thing with the State Department was doing that thing for the Iran deal, and they'd scrub some of the footage.
Yeah, they censored some. Yeah, I wrote about it earlier.
So let me get this straight. An Iran deal that's pertinent to the national security of the United States of America, they deliberately deleted an important part of that video. Moreover, that guy, who's that little crumb that they have that works for the State Department there? Or I think
they're not going to investigate it at all.
Yeah, oh no, of course not. But the little guy that said they manipulated the media to begin with on the Iran deal. So it's all been a manipulation. That's okay. We have also Benghazi where they manipulated the media. What did Richard Nixon do? Snuck into the Watergate Hotel, right?
Like how with Obamacare, it was you have to pass it to find out what's in it, and with the Iran deal, let's pass it, and we really don't want you to know what's in it. Like,
it's just I don't know how many things that lies and deceit that this administration can get away with. I'm shocked because Richard Nixon would have resigned by now. You had the AP scandal where they went after the Associated Press. You have that where they were looking at that James Rosen's emails. You have the Fast and Furious scandal. You have Benghazi. You have the IRS scandal. These are IRS scandals, horrible. You also have this one with the scrubbing of the Iran tapes. Now you have a coordinated effort though in the media. What was that thing Katie Couric was doing on guns?
Oh, the gun control thing.
Oh,
yeah.
God, they made it look like that guy didn't have an answer to the question about I forgot what
When in reality, they were all like talking over each other. They couldn't answer fast enough.
What was the question though that she asked? It was about.
I think it was without background checks. How do you prevent criminals from owning guns or something?
That's
and it's like act as if we don't have background checks.
Right.
Like,
there's already background checks everywhere. All 50 states for that reason. Again, there's a reason why laws are enacted.
It'd be like me asking you. It'd be like, Will, like, why don't you think? Why shouldn't the minimum wage be $7.25? Will, it's a policy we need.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's oh wait.
How is anyone going to get paid if we don't have a $7.25 federal minimum wage?
Someone asked me that. I'm like, why don't you go? I always get the question like, well, what's going to stop everyone from getting paid $2 an hour? And I'm like, go on Craigslist, try to hire someone to mow your lawn for $2 an hour, and tell me how far you get.
Right. And this is what I always tell them when they're so concerned about what people are making. I go, yeah, you have a house, right? Oh yeah. When you hire a painter, try to, I want you to pay them the top of the market. Pay them pay them what you think people should be paid, $15 an hour. You know what I mean? See, why don't you do that? Hire a plumber for more. They're not getting paid enough. This Bernie Sanders, Disneyland isn't paying their workers enough. Yeah. What do you know about Disneyland and how much they pay their workers? How many people do you employ? Isn't that what the guy said? What have you done for the economy?
I love that all like the nation CEOs are roasting him. Like I think Verizon went after him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, good. The guy doesn't know nothing. First of all, let's talk about one thing that's really important: the difference between accounting profits and economic profits. And everybody looks at the accounting profits and they're like, "Oh, that's way too much." Well, you don't know what these people have invested in it. What else they could do with their money besides employ people? They can take it and put it away if they want to. They can. They can invest it in something else instead of creating new wealth. Right. Or well, why would you? I mean, the thing is, they have to make a certain amount of economic profits to make it beneficial to them. You don't know what that threshold is. Just stay out of it. Who the hell are you to tell somebody how to run their business?
Viewers on YouTube. So if anyone watching just wants to post any questions in the YouTube comments, we can read them. And
that's 10 people. Yeah, we got 10 on YouTube, but we're also on Liberty.me. So there's other people over there. I don't know. I could check the thing there, this chat. But I don't think anybody's on there either because nope, I don't see any chat on there. What does it matter? Well. But you're going to be on that.
Which difference this point doesn't make.
You're going to be on that show, Red Eye. When is it?
So I was originally scheduled. I was going to tape it on June 7th. It was going to air the 8th, but apparently Fox is doing extensive primary coverage those nights.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely Red Eye those days. So I got, for now, I'm pushed back to July 14th. But if there's any openings in June, if any guests drop out, I'm first on the list to take over. So
July 14th?
I might get, yeah.
Okay. Well,
I mean, possibly earlier if another guest drops out, but for now, that's my first.
All right, well, that's pretty cool. So what do you see coming up? What do you see as the big issue this summer? I mean, we pretty much have our candidates. We got Hillary Clinton. We got Donald Trump. Didn't Donald Trump go after the media yesterday for how they reported on his
balls or something? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't remember what he called them. What did he call them? Scum?
Something like that, yeah. He was I read your stuff, your scum, or whatever.
I mean, the guy knows how to stay in the news feed. He knows how to go after the media.
Yeah.
You remember Newt Gingrich in 2012 went after CNN. I don't know why Mitt Romney never did it. He had that Candy Crowley going after him.
When you rip what's his head's balls off, who is that?
I don't know.
John King, or it was two on the CNN debates, right? When he got asked about like his affairs or something, and
when Newt Gingrich did, yeah, I don't remember who the person was specifically, but I don't know why Mitt Romney, all he had to do was a little bit of that during the same time frame, like go after the president for Benghazi. I think a lot of this reaction, though, too, is a reaction to Mitt Romney's campaign in 2012 and how unbelievably impotent it was. That was the worst campaign I've ever seen. I don't know if you watched Netflix. They have a thing called Romney where they show you his 2008 campaign and his 2012 campaign. And he was saying things off camera that he should have been saying on camera. That he should have been saying out there. He's like, I don't understand this media. They're terrible. Why didn't you say that on TV? You would have won. You know?
Yeah, tell them the truth.
I don't understand. That's all they wanted to hear. Look, they think the truth is coming from Donald Trump, but I mean, it's really being manipulated. They'll find that out during his first term. But it's all they were. This is how anxious they were to hear it, is that they listened to this guy who I saw him come on. He had a speech about energy. I'm like, what the hell does Donald Trump know about energy? You know?
Nothing.
What do you say? Less rules, more drilling? I'm for that, you know, but what would he know about energy policy and the regulations that are already hindering energy? How about no more? How about get rid of all these regulations? Get rid of all of them. Thank you. You're welcome, United States of America.
Yes. Right.
So,
well, what are we going to talk about? We got another half hour to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if there's any questions.
There's plenty to talk about. Take a look, but I'm going to troll the news feed and see what's going on here. There was something else that happened among libertarians. They're all at each other's throats right now. You know? But to me, there's a lot of people happy with Gary Johnson over Austin Peterson. There's a lot of people that just don't like Austin Peterson, though, for personal reasons, which I don't understand. I've met him, and I hung out with him. He's a cool guy. I like him. I don't really like anybody. I like the guy. I don't know. I guess I could see why
like me and Kevin.
Huh?
Well, you pretend to like Kevin because you want to be in his inheritance, but
right. Oh yeah, I like you. Yeah, I mean, but you're just a nice kid.
Thanks.
Did you see this thing of what happened in New York City? That story about the guy. Go ahead.
No, what's the story?
This woman, I guess, was in her house with her sister, and a guy knocks on the door. She opens the door. Guy, like, I guess, exposes himself, runs in, grabs the woman, and I guess the aunt was trying to get on there. Yeah, do you hear that noise? Oh, that's a thing. But anyway, the aunt was fighting the guy off, and she was fighting the guy off. And apparently, she's calling for the husband who was in the house. He finally comes down, and they were in an apartment building. This is in the Bronx. He runs down and he's got a tire iron. He runs out to the guy who's at this point running away, and he beats the guy to death with the tire iron, hits him in the head with it, fractures his skull. And they've brought up manslaughter charges there in New York City against the guy, which I think is, huh?
Did they arrest him for it? For the murder?
They arrested him on and charged him with manslaughter.
I guess. I mean, what do you like? Okay, so I know, like, I've taken self-defense classes. I know I don't look like it, but I remember learning, like, for whatever reason, he was talking about like when it's appropriate to fight back, and if, let's say, like, someone robs my house and their backs to me and they're running, I can't legally shoot them because they're no longer a threat to me. So
I don't know.
I mean, I think you should be able to.
Yeah, I mean, look,
it's just the law in New Jersey.
First of all, let's look at how the law would work and how incentives would work. You got a guy and he's in your house and he's trying to rape your wife, and obviously he's not just trying to rape, he's beating her up. So he's hitting your wife, he's hitting your sister-in-law, your child, he's ripped her clothes off, her son sees. Okay? this guy here, obviously, he was a career criminal. I think he had 19 counts brought against him in the past. He's had priors up the wazoo. The guy's a career criminal. I mean, obviously, you're not going to know that before you know there's something wrong with the guy that does this. And you're thinking, geez, I don't want this guy to come back. I don't know if he's going to run to get a gun and come back. I don't know if he's going to run to get a knife. Why should you be the one that has to worry while this guy's out there? Nope, I'd go right after him and I'd bash his skull in two. I'd make sure I protected my wife from somebody like that who may have a vendetta after that. It's like, why should the civilian worry? He's not the one that instigated it. I got an idea, rapists. Don't do that again, or you get your ped pounding in. Thank you for doing a service. Huh?
We just need to teach them not to rape.
But, you know, that's another thing. You come into my house, you're a burglar, you get shot. That's less burglars. There you go. You just disincentivized burglary because you know you're going to get shot. I mean, a lot of these
I think that violates the NAP, though, doesn't it?
No, because they're going to say that they aggressed upon your property. You see in a NAP, if somebody, I mean, look, not every violation of your property is if somebody just walks onto your property, you know, you can't just shoot them. You know what I mean? If they're just standing in your lawn, if they come into your property, it has to be a certain situation. They can't come up to your.
Oh, we got some questions.
Okay.
Was that Francis Guy Grant? I think the guy's asking is Francis McCloskey Grant.
We understand that Grant's really, really annoying, and so is Francis, but that doesn't make them the same person.
That's true. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I don't know. I know someone who's met Francis, so I know he's real, but I don't know how.
It's hard for him to be real.
No, another guy's met him. Does Matt have a crush on Lauren Southern?
Who doesn't?
You have no idea.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm marrying her. He says, I think he does. You thought correct, Roman. David French. He's the guy who Bill Crystal wants to draft, right?
Yeah, they keep talking about him. You know, when I think of him, he's irrelevant, and he will be irrelevant. So
yeah. I think he might have cut out for me. Ah, crap. Yeah. I don't know. I had this issue too. Oh, you know what? Maybe it was just you freezing then. All right. Yeah, I'm just live. I can put you on speaker if you want. I don't know if that's an idea. All right. All right. Yeah, I don't know if I can entertain all 4 people watching this without you, Will. No. It'll. I think we might go offline if I sign off. So I'll just stay on for like a minute while I'm waiting for you. All right, gotcha. I'll give you like 2 minutes. All right. Let us down. So I'm just going to read some more audience questions if there's any posted yet. He should be on within 2 minutes. If not, I guess I'll end the episode, but hopefully he'll be able to get back on. He was just telling me he has some internet issues. Asked, what do you think about the poll that has supposedly predicted the next president since Reagan? I feel like I've actually seen different variations of polls claiming that they've predicted that, one which showed Trump winning and one which showed Hillary winning. So I'm not really sure what to make of it, honestly. But I would just have to read a bit more on it. Right now, I do think it's more likely than not that there'll be a Hillary Clinton presidency, and I think that's what that poll showed, but I'm not 100% sure. All right. I'm going to see if there's any questions on UA. Let's see. Why is it that Republicans, Democrats, and Libertarians all elected the most centrist candidates that violate key tenets of the party's beliefs? I mean, it's interesting because I think Hillary actually got pulled to the left by Bernie, and that ended up helping her. In Trump's case, he's certainly not a centrist, but he's not a conservative either. He's much more of a populist. I don't really know much about, I guess, Gary Johnson in particular, how he compares to the other. I just think from like a time perspective, it makes more sense to follow the Republican versus Democratic race, just because there's very little chance of a Libertarian actually being elected. Let's see. How did that naked guy get on the stage in the first place? I don't know. If we were the original apes, then how come Harambe is still an ape? How come he didn't become one of us? Good question. Chemtrails, that's one answer. Weren't you just bitching about Hillary not handing the information that became classified, and now think you deserve to know everything about the Iran deal, even if it contained classified information? No, because the information we were discussing wasn't classified. The clip actually that was removed from the video footage, it had to do with, I can't remember what exactly, I wrote about this earlier, but it was essentially someone said that they think the government should be able to lie to the American people if it's for their own good. So that was the part that got cut out, which is kind of telling in the context of the Iran deal. And another one, Will can't see the comments. That's probably true. And I don't think he has an internet connection, so I'm going to be logging off. Thanks to everyone who stayed and watched, and I'll see you guys next week.